Good day, Minecraftians. Purple Mentat here, bringing you episode 29 of my Regrowth Let's Play, and today we're going to need to upgrade a couple of systems that we have built in the past because either I need them up and running again, or I want them to not be giant lag monsters dragging down the server. To make that happen, we're going to be building a new flower from Botania, and don't worry, we will definitely be getting to Bibliocraft enchanting as promised towards the end of this video. I need to get these going first, or they will be dragging on my mind. So, we're going to be making a new flower known as the Renonant Carpus. That's handy. This is a flower that will place items into the world as blocks. Like if a block is dropped on the ground, it will then be placed in the world as a block. It's hard for me to explain. I'm bad at these things. So, it's going to use a couple orange mana petals, a mystical orange petal, a mystical yellow petal, Rune of Earth, Mystical Red, Red Mana, and Redstone Root each. Luckily, I've gone ahead and got all of that stuff pre-prepared. It is currently clogging my entire inventory, but that's okay. And what am I going to need? The Rod of the Seas here. And make sure I have all, let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 flowers and 2 other items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hang on. I'm missing one, aren't I? I'm missing the other red. Where's the other red? There you are. Fantastic. Now we have everything on the hotbar. So, Rod of the Seas to fill our apothecary, and you know what? This is a terrible place for that tool rack, but oh well. Petal apothecary. Hang on. I don't know why this isn't working. Okay. Petal Apothecary. 2 orange mana petals, check. Mystical orange, mystical yellow, check. 2 orange mana, mystical orange, mystical... That's mystical lime. Aha! This is a color issue entirely. Where are the lime mana petals? There's the yellows. Ah, colorblind issues. Alright. How about you work this time? That'd be great. There we are. Renonant Carpus. Renonant Carpus. And then we just refill it and do it all again. Bam, 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 bam. There. Inventory clean. Excellent. So, the first thing I'm going to be using it for is my Hobgoblin over here. A number of you suggested that I do that on the past video, and it's a good idea. Now, I want this guy to be placed in such a way that he has easy access to the materials, and I think that's going to actually be right here. But more importantly, I also want him placed such that he will only build on certain specified blocks. And you can do that by putting the block that you want him to only build on. In my case, it's going to be jungle wood because I have a pile of that set up down there. Do I not have any jungle planks over here? Of course not. That's okay. We'll grab a single bit and do it this way rather than running to the other repository of items. So if we place the jungle planks 2 down, and then I put down the soil that it's going to live on, and then I put down the Renonant Carpus, it will only place blocks on jungle wood. For example, if I throw this dirt to it, in just a moment it will place those blocks, and they got placed. No, they got grabbed by the hopper hawk before they could get placed. Hang on, we'll try it with the ore, because that's what I'm really showing off. Once the ore is down in the world, you can hear it getting placed. Oh no, 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 no! Well, folks, I guess that wasn't the greatest fan suggestion I've ever gotten, and now Project Hobgoblin is going to be on hiatus until I can get myself another one, which is going to take a little bit of time, but that's okay. We'll get to it in the future. Moving on, the other system that I wanted to build, man, I've been having really bad luck with witchery-friendly mobs the past few episodes, haven't I? First the cats, now the Hobgoblin. Jeez. Alright, so the next thing that I wanted to do with these was actually going to be setting up my Entropinnyums. And I've got a specific way that I have in mind to do so that's going to use an open crate. It's going to use a very similar setup as this here. And I'm hoping that I can get it all set up in a way that won't overlap too much and cause problems. Alright, so my Elven Mana Spreader, which I definitely want one of for this system, is going to take Mana Petal and Elementium, which I always forget. Hang on. Yeah, I was just telling the server how attempting to build this build caused my Hobgoblin to die, and now they're all, well, here, if you just build it super carefully so that you don't have the Rannuncorpus placing in the same block that a Hobgoblin can possibly get to. But, you know, that sounds really difficult to do. We need to get the Hobgoblin leashed such that they can't walk into the block, but they can mine the block. And I don't know if that's even possible with as squirrely as the max range on leads is. Alright, so what we're going to do down here, instead of planks or anything like that, we're actually going to be using obsidian as the target block. These are going to live on this dirt. Ah, come on. Hit the wall and immediately, the ceiling and immediately start falling. I am so looking forward to getting Creative Flight going again in a couple of episodes. I miss it. I miss it a lot. Alright, we're going to fall right down here. And we're going to have the Renonant Carpus right there on top of that. So it will only place on obsidian. And the blocks that we're going to be giving it to place in this instance is TNT. Make sure it places just fine. What? I guess there was more obsidian somewhere? Oh, wow, that thing's got a much larger range than I expected. It placed way up here. That's a problem for me. I thought it only placed at its roots or lower. Well, let me see if I can sort that out. Okay, I found the solution. Using chisel, I changed the obsidian into obsidian crystal. Hopefully it will retain most of its blast resistance this way. But now, what we're going to do is we're going to fill in this pool with water, such that when the TNT does go off, if I do have things mistimed, then nothing should be damaged. Though I do think I want to move the Entropinnyums a block or so away. That might be for the best. Yeah, let's do that. In fact, maybe I even want to encase this thing in a little bit more obsidian, just to be super careful, but I think we'll be alright. So, let's get our Entropinnyums down here, and here, and underneath... Hang on, let's make use of our Terra Shatterer. This is why we have the thing. Right there. There we are. Underneath, we're going to set up a redstone torch directly underneath that obsidian. So when TNT does get placed down, it immediately explodes. We're off to a roaring good start with today's very professional recording. There we are. So now, just as it... well, hang on. We're not going to test it quite yet. What we're going to do instead, we are going to... I want things to fall here. Yes, okay. Now we're going to set up the supply chain. And said supply chain will look very familiar because we're going to use the same setup that we had before with the wooden pressure plate. Maybe. There we are. Oh, it's just called pressure plate and then looks like wood. Strange naming conventions. We'll use up our spruce slabs doing this. Turn those back into planks and then make the pressure plate with them. And I don't want to build this with dreamwood, but we can build it with a living rock, just so it looks, you know, Botania-y and magical-ish. Grab our tool bag. Here's a quick refresher on how to set this particular system up. You want your pressure plate underneath wherever things are dropping. You're going to want your inventory feeding things right there. Let's hope I actually pre-planned everything properly, then life will be good. I'm going to put my hopper there, which means I need these two to be filled. Whoops. those two spaces to be filled in. Redstone torch goes right here. Redstone goes there. And now I need to get back up top so that we can finish things from above. Break through this grass temporarily. Another torch goes here. And that last bit of redstone right here. Now, for the open crate on the edge, hopper from the tool bag. There we go. And now I don't need, but I want a Java barrel. And it seems I don't have any. Okay, so we're gonna make a quick barrel, which requires logs, slab, and chest. So if I place this facing down at the hopper, the natural label will face up, and I'll very easily be able to see how much TNT I have available. Whoops, that is the wrong material. I want to put the dirt back there. Now, this does mean I'm going to have a bit of a stray redstone signal over here, but I think this is going to always be a pathway and never going to have anything to do with redstone. So it shouldn't be too much trouble. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. And then the final step is to get the mana spreader placed there. And actually, it immediately grabs power out, of course. Get that on bind mode and hook the spreader to the pool. And hook the Entropinnyums to the spreader. Hang on. What happened here? Bind mode. Entropinnyum, spreader. Entropinnyum, spreader. Spreader. Mana pool. Perfect. So it should be able to handle the output of both Entropinnyums this way, moving at whatever speed it is able to. So now we're going to make a bit more terra steel. I know I wanted 3 more than I have anyway, just to drain out some of the power in the portal, just to show you, in the pools, so that I can show you why I'm doing all this. With this pool being empty, we want to move things along. Well, let's try giving this 4 TNT. Why is it placing 2? Well, on the plus side, the water served its purpose. For some strange reason, it was placing 2 at a time. And this mana spreader can't seem to bind to the mana pool. Okay, now it's actually binding to the pool properly. Excellent. Okay. Strange happenings today. Things just don't want to work the way they should. So, it's possible that the, oh, you know what it is? The Renonant Carpus, doesn't detect the TNT once it's there. Like, once it's been lit, it's no longer a block that's stopping it from placing another one. So yeah, I guess it's not useful for this mechanic either, but I could... There is another option that could be used. Alright, let me go attempt something else. Be right back. Alright, so we're going to still use the hopper and open crate setup that we had before, actually. So let me get that put back to maybe. There we go. And this is going to drop items into the world. We're going to use an obsidian pipe directly underneath it to grab those items and have them in a piping system. Not 100% certain if that's going to work right. The Renonant Carpus is unfortunately not useful to our purposes anymore, but the rest of the build can stay as is. We're going to have some gold pipe moving this over here, and we're going to need to go up 1 before we go over 2 and back down 1. And then we're going to place our striped transport pipe. Now, if I've got this figured correctly, if I put a bit of obsidian, a bit of TNT into the barrel, Just one for now, just to test. It should end up going through the system fairly quickly, getting placed into the world on top of that bit of obsidian, and exploding. Should. Doesn't seem to have worked, though. And that's probably because the obsidian transport pipe was too close. So what we're going to do instead, we can get the gold. We can just shorten everything by 1, and this will work out just fine. I think. Come on. Really need that creative flight. So used to just double-click spacebar to get into the air, not this much more complicated system. Alright, that gets dropped. It moves through, and the striped transport pipe entirely fails to place the TNT. Alright then. Well, I guess we're 3 for 3 on fails so far today. Not 100% certain what to do about that, honestly. Might just have to come back to this. Okay, new and final plan. We're going to use the Renonant Carpus after all to place onto that bit of obsidian crystal, and we're going to time the whole thing with a hourglass. So what we're going to need is a bit of a red. We're going to need some building material for one, which we'll use our living rock for. And I'm going to need a little bit more space to work with than I have. So we're going to put a redstone torch right there. And if I feed a signal into that block, which I can do by running I'm 1 short, that's okay. We'll use some cracked sand, since we're down here anyway. By running like that. And now I need to break you. Here, this will be plenty of room up here. And by plenty, I mean just barely enough. And the hourglass is already in inventory. Okay. Put you, and then set the hourglass here. And we're going to set the initial time to 10 seconds using a stick. Bam, 10 seconds. So now, this thing should be set so that the hopper is always off, and every 10 seconds is allowed to drop a single item. Yep, you can see the torch blink off there. Now, if I give this guy some TNT, we'll do 4 to start. Oop. It should take a little bit of time before the first one is allowed to place. That's okay, because that first pulse only allowed 1 TNT into the hopper. And the next tick drops 1 TNT, which the Renonant Carpus then happily places. Then it blows up, and one of the Entropinnyums gets a bunch of mana. Yeah, it's emptying out entirely before the next bit of TNT is even placed. So we could pretty easily set this back down to 5 seconds and have it probably be safe. But I think I'd rather just leave it as is with an extra just kind of as a backup for the time being. Because this is plenty of mana production. And the ability to actually get my Entropinnyums doing something useful for me in a pretty automatic fashion, where all I need to do is toss a bunch of TNT in, I'm pretty happy with that. Now, the problem is that I'm going to run into is I'm going to need to actually use all of this mana. I can't just let it hang around, because that system will not automatically shut itself off when this mana pool gets full. But that's okay. I've got plenty of things to use mana on. I have all of the Terra Steel that I could possibly want at the moment, but that doesn't mean I can't think of more ways to use a bunch of mana. That's cool. And there's going to be a lot of explosions for a bit. Good news is, in a future version, the explosions will be muffled. Alright, so I finally managed to do one useful thing with the Renonant Carpus, and that's happy for me. Let's get into some Bibliocraft. Back in a moment once I clear out my inventory and I have the materials I need. Alright, just before we do get into the Bibliocraft stuff, 2 small improvements that I made. Well, that was the wrong place to take that away, wasn't it? One, I've created for myself the Carpenter's Hatch out of 6 Carpenter's blocks, which we'll be able to put into the world right over here and disguise with grass so that you'll never know that it's actually open. Actually, a place you can go to, I mean, until we open it. And the Carpenter's Hatch, when open, does also act like a ladder, so it makes for a great hiding place. One other thing that I did was I did some exploratory digging, and I got this hopper that's underneath the TNT barrel connected to the same redstone line that's coming off of the mana pool's comparator. So now this will be permanently shut off when the mana pool fills up, and I can easily come back down here and access things without needing to put a bunch of work in. Also, I did some tests and let a bunch of extra TNT blow up after everything was full. As you can see, the Entropinnyums down here are just waiting to spend their mana on something. The water pool down there did a pretty good job of stopping any damage from hitting anything else. I'm very happy about that. So, Bibliocraft. To progress with my plans for Bibliocraft, I need 2 specific items. The typesetting table, which is planks, slabs, ironwood, redstone, and this printing press chase, which is made out of slabs and iron. So I'm actually going to need 2 crafts of slabs to make this all work. And then we can make our chase first, which we're going to need a number of these over time, but right now we're just going to make the one. And now we can make our typesetting table. And next we can make the printing press itself, which uses a blaze rod, a weighted pressure plate using iron, 3 iron blocks, not a cheap recipe, folks, and come on, open up, blaze rod, thank you, there we go, couple of slabs itself. We're actually going to need, and I think now I'm just going to make a whole bunch of extra chases, yeah, because I know that I need these. Because the printing, is it the chase? No, it is the plates that I need. I don't remember how to make, the plates are made on the typesetting table. So we're going to hold off for just a moment as I'm also like refiguring all of this as I go. Also, we're going to move the enchantment table so that it is only in range of 1 of these mana pools, or mana pylons. So now, oh, actually, it won't let me enchant a book. No, it's just bugging and going slow. There we go. It'll let me get up to 16 levels, but it's probably the 13-ish area that I'm going to be focused on. So let's go ahead and get our typesetting table and our printing press set right next to the enchantment table for now. That'll be clang. To make use of these is fairly simple. You need to start with a book of your choice. I'm going to be using the Protection 2 book in this case. This is where the chases come in. Now we make ourselves a chase. I'm actually going to just go ahead and make a couple because I know I'm going to need them in the long run. We place our chase on the typesetting table, like so. And I'm missing an ingredient. Oh, I'm out of experience. That's the problem. That's why nothing's working the way it's supposed to. We need a fair bit of experience so that we can just shift right-click this with an empty... Oh, hang on. Alright. I need to make myself a monocle so that I can see what's going on here. To create the monocle, it is just some gold nuggets and a glass pane. They are super cheap, and they will give you the ability to understand what's happening with your system, as long as that system is Bibliocraft. You can use the reading enchant to get this ability, super fancy, other ways, but I think that my problem is not enough experience, and I can't tell. Yep, 24 levels, that's the problem. And there we go. Now we have the enchanted plate. Now, this enchanted plate can be placed onto the printing press right here. Ah, right there. And now it needs ink and blank books. We're going to grab some ink sacks. And we already have some blank books. The ink goes on the shuttle over here, I think. There we go. Ink goes right up there. And then the blank books just go in here? On here somewhere. There we go. And then it starts working. The only cost is the levels and the chase. As you can see, there's one chase. The goal here, once you have 2 books of the same type and a significant amount of experience, you can combine them in an anvil to create a book of the same type at a slightly higher level for pretty cheap. Then you can come back over here and turn that book into a higher level version of itself. It wants 31 levels this time. Good thing we've got these experience drops and the ability to mass farm them. This will get us the Protection 3 book that we... Oh, experience drops will not allow us to go above level 30. That's an issue. An unforeseen one at that. We're also going to need to get our essence berry bushes up and going. Without these, we cannot attain a high enough level. Alright, well, let's go ahead and just set those up right here for the time being. Now, there are plenty of mana pools around here. So I think that I should be safe actually grabbing a couple of my agricarnations to try to keep those guys going as fast as possible. They're in my farming bag at the moment. Let's see what happens if I put one here. You are connected, but you're not hitting over there. Here, you don't have a near enough pool. Alright. That's okay. We can very easily set up another pool and another spark. It's not like I don't have these already waiting, and honestly, sparks are cheap once you're at this point in the game. So these guys can have their very own pool and spark. And that should keep me in experience berries. Now, I don't want to wait too terribly long, and also I detect a fun opportunity right there. I'm going to grab out my Terra Blade here and find that pigman. Ah, he's hiding. There we go. That's good. That's a good time. Yeah. I definitely have the option of diving into the nether and hunting experience as well whenever I need it, which... not a terrible idea, especially if I got an XP boost enchant on this guy. For the last enchanted book that it's going to make out of every single one of these, you've got a couple of options. I would recommend saving them for now and using them in mariculture later, because enchanted books melt down in a crucible furnace into a lot of the liquid experience, and is probably going to be one of your best bets. The reason that this is so expensive is because it is going to make us 3 of the Protection 3s. And the lucky thing is, we will never have to duplicate a max level book using Bibliocraft because of the function of the Mana Enchanter. Now, how are we going to get the books that we're looking for? Well, that's where the regular enchantment table comes in. We're going to use the Mana Enchanter to apply our enchantments, so we don't need to worry about using up the book ever. Why do I have so... oh, because I accidentally wrong buttoned. There we go. 1 stack of iron. That's all I need to keep on me, right? Yeah, that'll do. I'm gonna grab the other experience drops because I'm gonna need them, and we're gonna grab whatever books I have. I do have more books, don't I? Have I actually used... Nope, I have 8 more. That's a good start. We'll also make a handful more because I have some rotten flesh I can turn into leather in my alchemizing pool. Excellent. So, we're going to be spending a few levels at a time. I think I'll go with the mid-range. Getting books. See, there's Feather Falling. That's great. That's a book that I did not have before. Here is Smite. Not one I'm super interested in, but it's cool to have. Aqua Affinity, yay. These experience drops give so much experience, and you aren't spending a lot. Actually, let's start going for the mid-range. Haste, that's cool. I think I already had haste, but that's alright. This way, if you only ever need the lowest level... Binding, I don't even know what that does. If you only ever need the lowest level of each enchant, and then you can increase that enchant to the higher level, that's great. That means you can easily stock up a number of cool enchantments. And then just pick and choose which ones do I want to use on my actual gear. Destruction. I'm not certain if you're better off using the... Ooh, sharpness one. That's useful. So there we go. Things are good. We can easily create the enchantments that I'm going to need. Well, the enchantments I'm going to want. The one that I'm most interested in is definitely protection. So close to 31, but not quite there. Having level 4 protection on all of my Terra Steel gear, which I've got the stuff to make the last bits of. There's the armor. Here's the pants. And I already have the boots and the hat there. Terra Steel gear gives you effectively diamond level protection, and in fact I'm going to just start removing my mana steel and stowing that in here, or in here for the time being. Mana steel is just so yesterday. It was in vogue, but now we have the Terra Steel, which, as you can see, gives you the full armor bar, which means diamond level resistance, which means 80% damage reduction, and then every level, every protection 4 that's on there will stop between 40% and 80% of the damage that gets through the armor itself. So the armor is giving me 80% on its own, and with protection 4 on everything, I will take 88% to 96% less damage from everything. It's part of the why better than diamond armors are not really a part of vanilla. They're just not necessary once you get into enchanting. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time with this. I'm going to duplicate this book a few times. I'm probably going to make myself some more books and duplicate those as well. And once I have myself a fun set of enchantments to work with, I shall return. Alrighty folks, I have all of the books I could want. Knockback 2, Sharpness 5, Featherfall 4, Haste 3, Aqua Affinity, and Protection 4. There's a couple of others that would be very useful, for example, looting, and I'm slowly but surely working on getting a looting book. Unfortunately, the books are just really, really randomly rare in this pack, with so many extra enchantments having been added from the likes of Mariculture and such. There we go, Sharpness and Knockback. Get that applied. Bam. I like how you get a bit of a countdown and then it starts drawing in mana from everywhere. Goes pretty quick, too. There we go. 1, Sharpness 5, Knockback 2. That is apparently the highest level of Knockback from what I've been able to find. So that takes care of that, and then we just need to add Featherfall, Haste, and Protection to our boots. Then we're just going to do Protection on all of the rest. Oh, come back here. This will leave me effectively immune to fall damage, which I think is great, and make me move even faster, which is amazing, as far as I'm concerned. We're going to be putting Aqua Affinity and Protection on our helmet. Come here, boots. There you go. Featherfall, Haste 3, Protection 4. Very nice. Happy, happy, happy. And honestly, it doesn't seem to be using all that much mana from the process, you know? Okay, that's a lie. This mana pool was nearly full before I started in on this. This guy is drawing in a lot of mana to do these enchants, especially that last one. There's there's the helmet with Aqua Affinity and Protection. Yeah, so you know the drill at this point. We got some pretty cool gear. We're probably going to be taking it up against the Wither next episode because I need a beacon to take on the Gaia Guardian. With any luck at all, I will be able to tackle both bosses next episode. I will have to do a little research on the Gaia Guardian and see if he can cause terrain destruction or not. If he can, then I might want to avoid him for now. Oh yeah, that ate up a good bit of power. I'll turn this thing back on once I'm no longer on camera because my mana generation is now very, very loud, which I'm okay with. So one other thing that I definitely want before we go take on the bosses is as great of a ranged weapon as this is, it's still slightly random, and I want better than slightly random. So we're going to grab some Essence of Nature, and we're going to use that Essence of Nature to make some vines. 2 crafts worth, specifically. And then we're going to use those vines in a ring around the Terrasteel ingots to make a handful of Thorn Chakram. Now this is probably more than I should have made, but I wanted 3 of them anyway. I don't even know if these guys can be enchanted, but these work. They get thrown, and they bounce off things, and then they return to the thrower. And they travel quite a distance. Like, if I throw it at that wall over there, and it's still going. Yeah. If, on the other hand, it's used in a nice small area like this, well, that moved too fast, but it did a bunch of bounces before it went anywhere. Here, let me take it underground and show you what I'm talking about. Oh, there. It does eventually come back, pretty much no matter what. But yeah, like, if I stand here and I toss it at a wall, look at it go. And because of inventory tweaks, if I toss one, the other one will pop into that space in my inventory. And then I can just have a whirling chamber of death, where hopefully things will get hit multiple times. I don't actually know how quickly these can actually strike enemies, because I haven't played with them much, but I think they're pretty cool. And when I go and spawn the Wither in the, as far as I know, widely accepted vanilla safe way, which is near the ceiling of the Nether, because there's nothing of importance there that anybody worries about getting blowed up, then it'll be a good time, and I should be able to have these Thorn Chakram bounce around through the Wither multiple times. The other fun thing, which I'll show you on a pig here, it doesn't just damage, it also poisons. And it does a good bit of damage, too. I mean, that basically killed a pig with, after the poison kicked in. So, yeah, that's going to be fun. I should, you know what? Let's go see. Can these be enchanted at all? And if so, what do they get? They cannot be enchanted. Okay. That is as expected. Alright folks, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's been a bit experimental as we were trying something a little new where I just do my iteration on camera. I've tried this a few times before, and the reception's been mixed, but I'm going to keep trying it because it's kind of fun to just show you like how I go through things, especially with that TNT build. I'm pretty happy with the way that ended up coming out in the end. So yeah, this is what the whole thing sounds like when it's all actually, hang on. We need to let the coal, all of them, activate at the same time. There we go. And the explosions. It is not a quiet process. And that's with the sound turned down to 30% and then equalized to be easier to hear me over in the videos. So, boom. Nice. But it does generate, well, you can't see it here, but, like, it generates mana pretty quickly. Like, you can see movement on these mana pools when it's filling 4 of them at the same time, because the enchantment table was pulling from all of them. Yeah. Good times. So yeah, as I said, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this experimental episode. If you have, leave me a thumbs up, tell me what you liked. If you have not, leave me a thumbs down. Tell me what you would like to see done better. Either way, you'll be interacting so that I will continue to show up in your subscriber feed, and I will see you next time.